warm welcome to everyone who's already on the line and to those who are joining us right now. It's really nice to see so many of you joining our training today. My name is Zuza and I'm part of Blueprint team, and I will be supporting today's session in terms of any technical issues that you might experience throughout this session. So first things first, I wanted to let you know that if you do want to get in touch with us and ask us any content related question or any technical or report any technical issue really, your best friend is Q&A button. You should be able to locate it on the very right hand side of your BlueJeans panel. And you can ask us any question there, or you can send us a quick hello message so we know that you were able to find the Q&A function. Don't worry if you can't see messages from other participants. This is totally normal. This is how the platform is set up. We will be still able to see your messages and address them in the right time. Another thing I wanted to mention is that unfortunately we're not able to share any presentation or recording from today's session. So remember, there won't be any recording after this session, but I will be sharing a resource link, and actually few of them, not just one. So I'll be sharing those resources links, and they will be coming up on the very top of your screen in a green box. And you are more than welcome to copy paste those links into your browser and essentially use them as a summary after this training, because the handout link will cover everything that is going to be mentioned during today's session. There will be some other links as well. Igor will tell you a little bit more about those. But just look out for multiple different announcements and copy paste all of them into your browser so you are prepared for the next sessions as well. And that is everything from my side. But if you do have any other questions, or if you do have any problems at all with the platform itself, please let us know. I will stick around. And otherwise, I wish you have a great session, and I will hand over to Igor. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this introduction, Zuza. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Spark ER training. It's a pleasure to meet all of you virtually from my home here in London. My name is Igor. I work as a business education training partner on the Blueprint team, which is an educational arm of Meta. It's a real pleasure that all of you found the time to join this session, which is a highly experimental session. So we've just started delivering these trainings for potential or existing Spark ER creators and Spark ER designers. So in that case, I'm sure you'll be learning a lot more today, and I'm sure it's going to be a very, very interesting session for all of us. I just want to remind you, just to follow up on what Zuza was mentioning, this is an interactive session. It's a two-way process. It's not just a recorded content. It's not a lecture. It's not a monologue. So if you do have any questions, feel free to submit them through Q&A button. And it is a highly practical session as well. It's just the first one in a series of 3 episodes, 3 sessions. So there'll be another one tomorrow, and then day after tomorrow. So I really encourage you to sign up for all 3 sessions if you haven't done it just yet, because we will be progressing towards the actual execution of some of the Spark ER features. And tomorrow we'll be creating our first effects, and then we'll be sort of amplifying those learnings during the 3rd session. For that, you will be using Spark ER software. So that's a very important prerequisite. Unfortunately, we didn't have a chance to kind of email every participant beforehand, but today you will have a home task of actually installing Spark ER Studio on your laptops or your computers, as well as installing Spark ER Preview Player on your phones, because those two pieces of software will be absolutely essential for you to be able to follow this course. This course is very practical, so essentially I'll be giving you a task. You will be actually working in Spark ER during the training. You'll be creating effects. You'll be sharing those effects. You will be possibly sharing some technical questions with us. But the idea is that you will be learning by doing, right? So that's the idea of this series of training, which essentially will prep you for Spark ER certification. Just as a reminder, a Spark ER certification is one of the many Blueprint certifications which are officially recognized by Meta. So if you'd like to become an officially recognized Spark ER Meta-approved creator, you would need to sign up for this exam and then pass it after attending all of these sessions and also taking an e-learning course, which we'll share with you afterwards. So I hope it's all clear. And I just wanted Zuza, if she can, to share some of the links with you as announcements. So if you follow this training on your computers, and that's definitely the preferred method to do that, because you will need your computers for creating those effects and using Spark AR, you will see those announcements popping up as the links, right? Downloadable links. So you can click on the link and then you can download the material, or you can go to a particular page where you'll be able to find links to download the software. It's free, just in case, right? So you don't need to pay anything for Spark AR Studio or Spark AR Player. So I would imagine that you will see those links right now. So let me give you a bit of time, let's maybe take 2 minutes, for you to be able to access those links and start downloading the Spark AR software. You won't need it just now. You will need it later in the training to have a bit more time to download it, to launch it, and you will definitely, absolutely need it tomorrow when we'll be creating our first Spark AR effect. So that's going to be like a first task for today, but also your home task before we meet again tomorrow. So let me maybe take this pause for like 2 or 3 minutes whilst you're downloading the software. I can also see a lot more attendees joining us now. So hello, everyone. Welcome on board. We are about to begin our training, but I just wanted to remind you that for this training, it's very practical, and it's very much based on you completing technical assignments. So you need this software pre-installed on your computers. So let's check out those links right now, and then we will kickstart our training.
And just to confirm quickly what you said, Igor, all links are shared now, so hopefully you were able to receive them. But if not, please let us know in the Q&A, because it might be an issue connected to the fact that you might be joining this training from a mobile device, and that would create a bit of a problem in receiving those links. So let us know if any issues. Otherwise, I hope you all have them.
Thank you so much, Susan. All right, well, I'll take a pause for a minute whilst you are accessing the links and kind of making sure that you can open all the websites and all the files that we shared. With you, and then we will proceed with the training. Quick pause. On the right hand side of your screen, you see a poll, you'll see an active So amazing. I would imagine that this particular training today, which is quite introductory and will be just AR, will be particularly useful for those people who are just new to this process. And tomorrow, we will be proceeding with more practical applications, right? Tomorrow we'll be creating first effects, and then day after tomorrow we'll also be moving into more advanced territories with more sort of phase-focused tracking effects and things like that. So that's the plan for the next 3 days. There's also tons of e-learning resources, which we'll be sharing with you, because it's difficult to become a proficient Spark AI user just by attending these 3 sessions. But it will definitely give you a taste, right? A taste and understanding of whether this is something that excites you, something that you'd like to use in the future, and something that you can capitalize on in order to get certified. And homework assignments. So each day we'll be giving you some homework assignments that will be kind of cross-checking again at the beginning of next training. And just as a reminder, most of these class activities will involve demonstrations of different effects that you can find in the Spark AR Studio. And during those demonstrations, you're supposed to basically follow the same process on your computer in the Spark AR Studio. And as we'll be moving forward with these lessons, you'll be creating different types of augmented reality effects in class, as well as homework assignments. Now, this session will take about an hour, starting from now, maybe slightly more than that. Again, there'll be a lot of practical assignments, so essentially there'll be minimum content, I'll say, in terms of theory and maximum practice. So it will last for as long as it needed for you to complete your tasks. And in this introductory first session, we'll be exploring several aspects of AR, which stands for augmented reality. We'll begin with a general overview of what augmented reality is and how this technology fits into the wider world of extended reality. We'll also explain how the technology behind augmented reality is evolving right now, right, and what it's leading towards, and how it is used today in various industries. And finally, we'll cover the future of augmented reality. We're not talking about the long-term future, but certainly about something that will be happening in the next few years. Now, let's begin with the first part, which is an overview of AR. Now, what is augmented reality? It's going to be our first quick question for the audience, so I'm sure that all of you, or some of you already have had a chance to use Spark AR, so maybe you have a very good idea about augmented reality. So maybe it'll be a good chance for us to also activate our Q&A functionality. And I'm definitely looking forward to hear your responses and suggestions on what augmented reality is. So if you can give me some succinct and short answers, and you can share them in the Q&A, that will be great. I see already some people about some questions asking about certification and sort of next steps. We will definitely talk more about certifications after the third session, right, which will be taking place day after tomorrow. So today is introductory. Tomorrow we'll be creating our first effect. The third one will be a bit more advanced, and we'll be starting talking about what are the further steps you need to take to get certified. The question for now is, what is AR? How would you describe it? Let's imagine that you're explaining AR to your grandma. How would you explain it in a few simple words? Lovely. So integrating the real life in the digital use. Love this definition. An element that adds on the reality, not replacing reality. AR is to put some digital objects in the real environment. Some people are saying that the video is not great, so let's see how it goes. If the video is not going to be amazing, because I'll be also showing you some interactive slides. I'll just switch off my video and it will focus on the slides, but for now it seems to be working for most people. So blending virtual things with reality, so you're seeing virtual things and the actual things next to you. All of these questions are absolutely spot on, so thank you so much for sharing your answers and for also showcasing that the Q&A feature is definitely working. And you're all correct, right? You're all spot on. So augmented reality is essentially any digital information that's overlaid onto the physical world. And usually, with augmented reality specifically, it is viewed with a smartphone or a tablet, right? So those are the two main kind of types of devices that you can use in order to be able to access or to be able to view those digital objects, digital information in general. It could be, it could be stats, it could be figures, it could be a specific object, it could be 3D objects, it could be 2D objects that are superimposed on the real world, which you can access through the camera of your smartphone or a tablet. Now, can you think of any examples of augmented reality? Maybe any recent examples that you've seen in your day-to-day life? There'll be another follow-up questions for the audience. I want to acknowledge that we've got a few more responses. Another person saying AR is an interactive experience in the real world. That's a very good one. AR can be interactive, but it could be also quite static, right? So it really depends on how you make it. But it's also a good question. But maybe you can also share some examples of when you've been interacting with AR, maybe recently, maybe in the past. Oh, there we go. Instagram filters. Ha ha ha. That's true, and I love your lovely extension. The Snapchat filters, absolutely. Filters. So lots of people saying filters. Instagram filters. That's absolutely correct. Yeah, Instagram filters would be probably the most widespread example, which also is the most widespread application of Spark AR. But also, you may think about mobile games, right? Pokemon Go, that's a huge one, but there's a lot more examples of using augmented reality in with your smartphone to be able to play a game, and also a lot more examples which are maybe a bit more serious in terms of someone's mentioned Pokemon Go. That's amazing, thank you. Which can be used in healthcare, can be used in finance and many other industries. So we'll talk about them in a bit, but generally speaking, the most widespread use cases of augmented reality at this particular moment of time. We're talking about present, right? We're not talking about what will be happening in the future because it's going to be a lot more extended. Face filters on social media and augmented reality mobile games. We'll definitely cover more examples of augmented reality later in this lesson, but I think essentially those two would probably be the most important ones for the time being in terms of the industry, in terms of the marketing applications. So why should we learn about this, right? It's not just gimmicky, it's not just something that actually is quite niche, because augmented reality essentially is everywhere right now. And according to a website called Statista, which collects lots of very important stats from around the world, there are about 1.7 billion mobile augmented reality users worldwide. There will be 1.7 billion mobile users by 2024. So just in a year time, you'll get almost 2 billion active augmented reality users. And one reason why augmented reality is just so popular is that it is so easily accessible with a smartphone or a tablet, and so easily understood and so easily to actually apply, right, in day-to-day life. Just look at the incredible viral popularity which still goes on for the Pokemon Go. So it's so accessible, yet so few people understand the technology behind it and the ways that you can actually create the very same effect on your own. Now, lots more businesses and industries are now embracing this technology to be able to inform, to be able to educate, to be able to, first of all, entertain their customers. And since augmented reality is dramatically increasing in popularity, there is definitely also a need for augmented reality creators, designers, developers to meet that demand. Now, speaking more scientifically, augmented reality is a subset of what we call extended reality, which is a term that refers to all immersive technologies. Another example of extended reality is virtual reality. And these terms are sometimes confused with each other, right? Or sometimes used incorrectly. Now, the final question, I don't want to bombard you too much with questions, and actually we will proceed with a few more sort of pieces of content without interrupting the flow with all these questions, but let's focus on this one. Who can tell me the difference between augmented reality and virtual reality? Let's have a think all together, and feel free to submit your suggestions and answers in the Q&A bar. So again, imagine you're speaking to your grandma, and she asks you, so I'm not quite sure, I've heard these terms, augmented reality and virtual reality. Is there any difference between them? So let's wait for maybe another 10 seconds. I can see some of those answers coming in. All right, so very quick, but also really poignant answer from one of the participants. VR is 100% virtual. All right. AR, when you interact with VR, that's Mohammed. In VR, we cancel the real environments. We only see graphics. In AR, we can see both graphics and real environments. Really good question. Okay, sorry, really good suggestion. I think they're all, again, your answers are all very spot on. And another one, VR replaces a real life environment with a simulated one. Virtual reality replaces the reality with a augmented one, just adds information on top of that. That's very, very clear. So the difference is actually the degree of immersion. How much do you immerse yourself into virtual worlds? So as you correctly mentioned here, augmented reality is a mixture of various digital elements, right? It could be different types of information, different types of graphical visual objects, and the real world, which is typically viewed through a smartphone or a tablet, right? So in this case, in terms of devices, there's a very limited sort of selection of devices which will enable you to actually access augmented reality in the most direct sense of this word. Now, virtual reality, as you mentioned, is a full computer simulation of reality, which is the most fully immersive experience that is currently accessible only through a headset. So it simulates what a user would see or hear if they were actually present in the real or imaginary world. And you would use augmented reality to, let's say, take a picture and then virtually try some, I don't know, sunglasses, right? For instance, if you were using sort of AR effects or AR ads for one of the sunglasses brands. But you would use virtual reality to escape completely into a different environment. It could be anything, right? It could be space, mountains, you could be on the beach, you could be in a classroom with other people from around the world, and so on and so forth, which will not necessarily be accessible to you or feasible if you are using augmented reality effects. Now, I think that's all clear, and you can see some of these, some of those kind of points here. Let me see if I've missed any other comments from the audience. And I can see if there's any important points I can highlight as well. AR is a combination of the real world and digital world. VR is a simulation of real world. Grandma. Spot on. Great. I love your example. And grandma is very happy. Now, okay, let's move on into something slightly more practical. We will be discussing how exactly do you use augmented reality technology in its global use cases and global applications. So let's take a look a little bit at the sort of historical time frame, because on the one hand, augmented reality seems fairly fresh and innovative, right? But actually, there have been experiments with that concept. At that point, it wasn't technology, it was just a concept, dating back all the way to 1950s. And one of the early examples of using augmented reality was Sensorama, which was a machine designed in the US to give cinema goers a sort of this multi-sensory experience when they were watching movies. And the machine was actually super bulky, huge, cumbersome, not very practical. And it allowed only one person at the time to watch a movie with all those augmented reality effects. Now, obviously, it was very, very early precursor, but more kind of modern and practical uses of augmented reality began with the introduction of smartphones, right? Which was starting to combine sensors, cameras, and 3D objects. So initially, these smartphones were focused on very simple, straightforward augmented reality effects to be able to use some target images to generate simple effects, which we call target tracking. But over the time, the technology improved to allow your smartphones to track your body, right? To track your your body movements, your faces, your hands, your bodies. And in this case, it sort of moved from target tracking towards people tracking. And this enabled this kind of wide proliferation of face filters, which are so commonly found on our platforms as well as, generally speaking, social media around the world. But augmented reality technology still keeps evolving, and it's now moving into more kind of advanced motion sensors, which enable more accurate tracking of yourself and your device positioning in the space all around. And this will allow 3D content, which will be a lot more elaborate and a lot more sophisticated, to be placed in the camera view as you move around with your smartphone, which means that you will be moving from people tracking towards world tracking. Now let's take a look at some of the technology that stands behind augmented reality, which enables you as a, let's say, AR user or AR creator, developer, to actually fulfill all of those different degrees of immersion. We'll begin this by discussing the different degrees of freedom, as we say, which indicates the supported motion of any person's perspective in the AR experience. And there are two types here. The 3 degrees of freedom, which is sort of the classical audio technology that enables you to essentially rotate along the X, Y, and Z axis, right? So with X, you'll be moving from side to side. With Y, you'll be moving up and down. And with Z, you'll be moving forwards and backwards. The 6 degrees of freedom is the latest iteration of the 3 degrees of freedom, which enable you to move in space on each axis, as well as walk around the space and turn your head, right? So you can move in different directions at the same time. So that's the first thing that enables this proliferation of the augmented reality effects. Next one, we have simultaneous localization and mapping, which is commonly abbreviated as SLAM. That's the technology which maps a space and then maps a space around you, essentially, and then tracks your device within that space. And SLAM is a new technology, comparatively speaking, which typically used for augmented reality experiences with those 6 degrees of freedom. Now, all of that will be impossible without cameras and sensors, which are used in augmented reality via your smartphones and tablets. So cameras, which are placed in your device, are used in all AR applications and that are viewed on screen to provide you the view of reality, right? When we talk about augmented reality, it's not the reality itself, it's the projection, it's the view of reality which you see through your camera. And additionally, that view is fed through the vision algorithms to detect and track different visual objects and landmarks which you see within your camera. So cameras and that computer vision will contribute to the mapping portion of SLAM, right? So cameras enable SLAM to happen. Now there are 2 more technologies which are very important as well. The first one is accelerometers, and the second one is gyroscopes. The accelerometers are sensors which measure your acceleration. And accelerometer sensors can detect acceleration along those 3 degrees of freedom, in the X, Y, and Z axis. But they can't really move into the 6 degrees because they don't really differentiate between motion and, let's say, rotation. So their use is somewhat limited for augmented reality. And very quickly, developers found that they could sense the current direction of gravity and that it was still possible to calculate the current orientation of your device. And with that orientation, you can still rotate the camera for a 3D scene and enable an experience with 3 degrees of freedom rather than 6 degrees of freedom. So that's why gyroscopes are sensors which give you a much clearer picture of position around every axis. So the latest gyroscopic sensors will be able to detect rotation as well, unlike the accelerometers, which is sort of the previous generation of sensors that can be used in augmented reality. So with gyroscopes, you can detect a device's motion and rotation separately from each other. And this enables for a much better and much more accurate tracking of your device in a 3D space, but with some error that accumulates over time, right? And that's why by combining the sensor data with computer vision that is mapping the environment and actually accounts for that error, it will be possible to continually correct the sensor, which will be drifting all the time, right? And create a lot more robust and stable 6 degrees of freedom, which is so essential for the augmented reality effects. Now, just a quick overview of the technology that you should be aware of when it comes to augmented reality, just to understand how exactly it is enabled. Now, let's take a closer look at the main types of AR effects that are being used in the world today. The first one is target tracking, which is triggered when the camera is pointed at a specific image in the real world. Like, as you can see here, might be a piece of artwork, right? And within that category, there are two types of target trackers. It's either motion or moving, and then the other one will be static or fixed. So with the moving part, the effect will move with the target image if the target image changes position, right? And the effect will disappear if the camera isn't pointed at the target. So this effect doesn't need any SLAM technology, which I've explained before, because target tracking enables an augmented reality experience to begin as soon as you see the target trigger, visible, rather than requiring you to move around to scan the space and create a much more comprehensive tracking map. The fixed one is an effect which appears when the camera first detects the target image, and if the target leaves the camera view, the effect is still displayed and tracked correctly according to its position in the 3D space. That effect will definitely use SLAM technology to keep track of the 6 degrees of freedom once you walk around and rotate when the target is not visible at all. So, quick question is, what kind of target tracking effect you can see here? Is it moving or is it fixed? Let's take a look at what you've got to say. Yes, absolutely correct. So lots of people are saying it's fixed. It is fixed. It is definitely fixed because you can see how you can move in the 3D environment and have the same effect displayed and tracked correctly from different angles as you move around the axis and also as you rotate around the room. So well done. Thank you. Okay, so that was just target tracking, right? Which basically focuses on a specific object in space. And I have another exercise for you, a very simple, let's say 3-minute activity for you to experience target tracking effect. And this will also now enable you to learn more about the human spine. Why not? You'll learn about AR, but also about anatomy at the same time. So what I would like you to do, provided that you can clearly see the slides, so I'm going to switch off my camera just in case so that it didn't interfere with the slides and you can see it in maybe a more kind of crystal and sharp format. So I'm going to switch it off just for now. What you need to do is to hover your camera over the QR codes, which you see right in the middle of the slide. And once you scan this picture, you'll see a web address, right? So you need to tap the web address to bring up the effect. And with this effect, if everything works correctly, you'll be able to see a human spine appear in 3D space. And then you'll be able to watch the system as it kind of extends and contracts. You'll be able to rotate the picture with your finger, and you're able to touch different parts of the spine to learn the different names of the different anatomical, I think that's the right word, anatomical areas. So give it a go. I think it's a really good example of how do you actually work with the fixed target tracking activity with the SLAM technology and 6 degrees of freedom. And I'm going to do the same with you. I've done it before, but always happy to go through these exercises one more time together with our room. And also let us know if something is not quite working. We'll try to fix it for you. All right, I can see that some people say it doesn't work on Android. I'm not quite sure. Actually, you'll be able to see this effect on Instagram. So I guess as long as you have an Instagram app, you should be good. All right, but if it doesn't work for you, yeah, some people say works perfectly for me. It's an Android device, works fine for me. All right, amazing. So it looks like it's working fine for everyone, at least for most people. So another person saying I have Android, works just fine. Amazing. So great. So here's a good example. So I don't want to maybe spend too much time. Feel free to play around with the same skeleton. And let's jump to the next one. And since it works and it's amazing, oh my God, I like this. So there we go. Maybe some of you will actually, maybe it will spark your interest in, in medicine and human anatomy. You never know. You never know with these things today. All right, I'm gonna switch off my camera once again for you just to remind that I'm still here. I'm not an augmented reality effect. I'm alive. And let's talk about the second type of effects, which are focused on your face, hands, and your body in general, right? So these are the people tracking effects, and they are normally captured with your device front-facing, or better called selfie camera. So today, obviously, the most popular application of this particular people tracking augmented reality effects are filters, which you'll be sharing on social media. And social media filters detect the position and orientation of your faces and specific facial features, such as your eyes, your nose, your mouth, and so on and so forth, your eyebrows. And the filters can also track the positions of those facial features to determine and match your facial expressions and to recreate them through those masks, those filters. So you can match the face of or that of a character that you've set up with 3D modeling software. And then finally, I think we're not using this exercise just because I'm sure you've all done it before, right? And you've done those filters, and you can just quickly jump on Instagram, select any filter, create sort of switch on your selfie camera, and you'll be able to play around with that. I would like to do something slightly more advanced and slightly more exciting. And there's a really, really cool example for that, which we'll all do together just in a moment, which is related to this most advanced world tracking effect, right? So this effect, they bring together all the latest technology when it comes to SLAM, when it comes to 6 degrees of freedom, when it comes to gyroscopes, and your back-facing camera, which is a very powerful camera. And the placement of these objects will depend on the capabilities of your mobile device, obviously, and augmented reality software. Some mobile devices will be able to detect the position of your floor. Some will not, right? And some more advanced devices and software can detect also specific horizontal and sort of horizontal and vertical surfaces in your environment, and will be able to calculate the approximate height, and width, and distance, and stuff like that. So with some sensors in those newer iPhone models, as well as some headsets like HoloLens, it's possible to make a full mesh, so the full kind of 3D model of the space around you, which will enable you to place a virtual object in its realistic size anywhere in your space. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Actually, when I used this effect for the first time, I didn't know that it existed, but I was really amazed. So what you need to do is very easy, right? Just a quick reminder that unfortunately it's not working for every single device. So it needs to be iPhone with iOS 11 and higher, and Android 7.0 or higher for your Samsungs, your Google Pixel, Motorola, and other Android brands. And if you don't have a Google app on your iPhone, try to download it now. It'll probably take you 20 seconds, right, to download the Google app and then open it. If you're using Android, you should have Google app already installed on your phone. So the first thing I want you to do is to install a Google app if you are an iPhone user and you don't have that app just now. And whilst you're doing this, let me explain the rules of the game. It's very easy. So for this activity, try to choose any animal that you will place in your home environment. And ideally, this animal should not be super niche, I would say, right? So like specific breeds or something like that. Just choose any like more or less recognizable animal, a giraffe, a zebra, or a dog, cat, whatever, or a unicorn. Unicorns also count. And if you search for that animal, so what you need to do, you need to go to the Google app, right? And search for your preferred animal. I don't know, a penguin, a panda, or something like that, or hippo. And then when you search for it in the Google app, you will most likely have the 3D animals list option. So you can see here on the screen, there will be a description of the animals and pictures, and the 3D or like view animal in 3D button, right? View in 3D button next to it. So that's what you need to click once you've selected your animal, once you've searched for it in the Google app, and then you hit that view in 3D button. Now, if you follow along, when you tap the view in 3D button, you'll see another page, right? Another page will pop up on your phone, which I'm going to do as well with you right now. And you can either just play around with that 3D object, and it's going to be super realistic actually, right? And you can see that it's moving around, and you can, again, rotate it along all those axes with 6 degrees of freedom. You can make it larger, you can make it smaller, or you can place it in your space. So what you need to do is you need to hover your phone parallel to your floor, and essentially a floor should also be fairly large and clean surface. So preferably no, I mean, it might be quite messy in your room, but at the same time, it's like there should be a little bit of a piece of a clean floor for the camera to detect that this is the floor and this is the wall and this is everything. And then once you start doing that and you hover the phone around, you'll see an animal appearing on your phone. And once you see an animal, you'll be able to tilt your phone and walk around to see it from different angles. It's absolutely magical. So go for it and place any animal in your room. And I'm going to do the same. So let's maybe take 3 or 4 minutes to do that. I will go for, okay, where's my Google app? Maybe some of you can share some animal suggestions as well. I would go for penguin. I love penguins. So I've got lots of penguins, so I'm using a horse. So as you can see here, here's a horse in 3D. And now I'm going to view it in space. Here we come. We've got a horse standing right in my room. So yeah, love that. But it's also a great example for you. So someone's going for dragons. Great. Griffons. Anteater. Love it. Yeah, it's a lot more exciting than what I've done. So I'm saying that the view in space didn't appear for me. Again, it depends on this. I think it depends on your model, the phone, and the software that you're using. But should be working, I guess, for the latest versions of Android and iPhone software. Yeah, and also sometimes you'll see the animals appear in slightly more random place. This happens when your camera doesn't really recognize the space, so that you'll probably need to move around a little bit. And if you can't find a particular animal in 3D view, try another animal. They might be more accessible. Science saying use red panda because they're very cute. I completely agree. That's going to be my next choice. All right. Well, hopefully you've all nailed this little fun task, and you've just got a new animal in your house. So what do you do after choosing an animal? Some people are catching up. So what you need to do is to find a 3D button, which you'll find in a Google app. As you can see here on the slide, it's the left slide, right? For every animal, you'll see this 3D option. Then you click on it and you'll be redirected to a page where you'll be able to play around with this 3D object, or you can hit view in your space option, which means that you'll be switching on your camera, your back camera. You need to scan your room so that the camera will be able to recognize the floor and the walls, and then your chosen animal will appear in your environment. All right, so well, thank you, everyone. I see that some people are struggling with that. Some people actually went ahead, but again, this is a standard Google feature, and feel free to use it again, maybe on a different device or in a different environment, a different room afterwards. Just one of those real cool examples of world tracking activity. Now, we kind of discussed those kind of three specific applications, right? Not applications, but like categories of augmented reality effects. Now let's maybe debate together and think about how target tracking, people tracking, and world tracking can be used in a variety of industries. So maybe some of you can give me examples of how this can be used in specific industries outside of social media, right? So we've got social media, well, outside of, I'll say, face filters. We already have face filters covered. Now we will talk a little bit about the wider applications. Like if you were thinking, genuinely speaking, as an entrepreneur, right, or a creator or a designer trying to pitch your augmented reality skills to folks and businesses from across the globe, which industries do you think will be most receptive to AR effects and AR technology? All right, cinemas, first example. Really nice. I love it. Yeah. So I think generally speaking, film production, right, and entertainment, games, 100% for sure. Games will be such a huge element in all of that. Let's maybe pick a couple of the others, and then we'll look at the full list that I'll share in the slides afterwards. Okay. For maps, yeah, agree. So just imagine if you can impose lots of information on the map, which is already being used, by Google Maps and other competitors. And maybe something else. Education, I love it. That's absolutely true. And actually, there's so many applications of both AR and VR and education. And there is a study, a sort of internal study, which showcased that people who go through online courses with AR and VR effects, they have a much higher ad recall. They have a much higher, actually, information recall, right? They remember information much better. Fashion industry, 100%. I'll probably also add makeup and things like that. And medicine, yeah, precisely. You just, take a look at the spine. Why not to actually impose a particular body part or something like that, which you can just see right here on your phone, and this could be done for studies, but also maybe for treating people. Okay, malls to help attract customers. Love it. Yeah, so maybe like information about discounts, right? It should be like popping up on your phone whenever you point in your device at specific brands or specific kind of geographical devices. In engineering, giving visual instructions about how a certain device works. Absolutely love it. Yeah, it's so cool. And thanks so much. I think we've just unleashed this collective brainstorm and collective imagination. Here's a slightly more boring slide here, but it sort of sums up pretty much everything that you already covered, guys. So thank you so much for your contribution. It seems to be so well immersed into this world already. But this slide just covers, again, not the most comprehensive list, but like a wider list of the augmented reality use cases. And as you can see here, several of these industries are already using 2 or 3 more types of augmented reality effects that we've just covered. So obviously, my role as the business education partner at Meta and my colleagues' role are very much focused on marketing, advertising, and branding. And we see lots of businesses use augmented reality effects representing fashion industry, obviously in the first place, makeup, but also many other examples which I'll show you later, automotive industry, to excite their customers, right? To engage them, to entertain, to give them like a clear idea of how the product can be used, how the product can actually look like, and things like that. One of the examples, there's a cereal company which puts a target image on their cereal box, and the image will produce a 3D cartoon effect, which can be captured with a smartphone camera. So that's pure entertainment, but it's a nice effect to have, right? Particularly if you're, having kids around and things like that. Generally speaking, social media content, that will be the second one. And many of you obviously experience augmented reality effects with face filters. So there's probably not much introduction needed here. Games, you mentioned games and entertainment. There's so many augmented reality games and apps which are available for your smartphones. Healthcare, and I'm glad that so many people mentioned medicine and healthcare in general. And there's so many things that are already happening in the healthcare industry with some really amazing results. Again, surgeons, they use augmented reality to help achieve precision in the operating room by projecting digital images on top of the surgical patient. And also, obviously, for medical students, it's a great way to train and to be able to expand certain things, bring them, move them around, and things like that when they're studying human anatomy, as we've just found out ourselves when we use this little example with a spine. Performance support, and I'm glad that you mentioned this as well. So again, in a manufacturing plant, for instance, you may be able to place instructions on top of machinery, right? And then link to be able to follow them, or vice versa. You can actually take a look into the closed part of specific machinery to understand how it's structured and what can be done in order to, for instance, solve a particular engineering challenge. What I'm really excited about, because I'm in education, right, is employee onboarding, because lots of companies, Accenture, JP Morgan's, and so on and so forth, are already using augmented reality and virtual reality to help employees to get better at their jobs, and they're sort of making them part of the onboarding experience. And in this case, it's so many examples of just basically being able to speak to tutors through VR, but also to be able to showcase specific objects, showcase specific elements, presentations, and so on and so forth through your phone via AR effects. Restaurants, I mean, we all seen that again with the help of with the spread of COVID-19. So many restaurants replaced menus with QR codes for customers to scan with their phones, but sometimes it just opens the map. Sometimes it actually has a lot more kind of AR effects, which are also very helpful, and they sort of again produce this kind of new dimension into the customer experience. Art and generally kind of cultural world, some art exhibits offer augmented reality experiences when you sort of scan specific artworks. Indoor navigation, someone mentioned navigation, that's also very important. So again, augmented reality as an additional layer on your GPS. E-commerce, that's so important, right? Because it enables you to try on new sunglasses, clothes, makeup, furniture, by using augmented reality effects. And actually furnishes this next one, right? I've jumped the gun a little bit because with interior design, you can also see how those pieces of furniture will fit into your interior. So just some of the examples of various types of AR and how they're being used by the industry. So as you can see here, the list is very long. It's going to be longer and longer, and each of those use cases will be more widespread in popularity and more widespread in terms of its accessibility. Just one of the examples from the real world, a few examples actually, which I wanted to share. The first one is coming from here, from the UK. It's Mate, which is an online furniture retailer. Essentially, it allows you to use their app or their website to produce bespoke furniture items. So you can choose a template, right, and then they'll sort of build this item for you. And what they wanted to do, they wanted to actually make sure that people have this experience of installing those items into the environment, into their rooms. So they make this immersive AR effect to make sure that every item that you're trying to buy through their apps, but also through their websites, can be implemented and installed in different environments. So you can place it in your own environment, but also you can place it in the sort of virtual environment to make sure that you have a clear idea about its size, about the way it looks, about the way it the different sides of it, and how it sort of fits into the interior, and so on and so forth, right? And thanks to that, they've got some really, really good results in terms of the 2.5 increase in terms of in purchases, and 40% higher ad recall, which is absolutely sensational, as you'll probably agree. Now, another example comes from a car brand, Volvo, and they wanted to increase awareness of their new electric SUV model. To accomplish that, they ran augmented reality ads on Facebook, as you can see here. And the ads produced a world tracking effect, which enables users to place the SUV again in their environment. Thanks to that, this results in a 6-7 points leap in awareness, meaning that the groups that saw the AR ads had a lot more awareness of this new model than the group that didn't, right? So this is the result of the Brandleaf study, which they ran on the back of this campaign, and they saw that augmented reality effects did produce a massive difference in ad recall compared to people who saw more regular video ads and static ads. So here are some real life examples as well. Right, so lots of examples coming from people. So dashboards, engineering, fashion, once again, marketing. So thank you so much. Some people say how to get a job using AR, VR. So that's exactly will be the purpose of this training, right? So first of all, we'd like you to get better at AR and VR, and then the ways you can actually monetize those skills in the industry. Now, before we'll start actually thinking about the real applications and the way you can actually use this software, let's discuss what the future holds for all of us with respect to augmented reality as well as virtual reality. And augmented reality is essentially, the way we see it, is the very first step towards the metaverse. And metaverse essentially is going to be a new era of technology, which we kind of regard as the successor to the internet as we know it today, which is essentially a mobile smartphone-based internet. And the metaverse will be a set of digital spaces, not even space, it's going to be a set of digital worlds, which will be all having those fully immersive experiences. They will all be interconnected with each other and interconnected through different devices. So you can easily move between those worlds. And you can also shift from the full immersion with your headsets and other devices into something which will be still accessible through a smartphone, right? So it's going to be interoperable, it's going to be flexible, and it's going to be ubiquitous. It's going to be everywhere. And it will allow you to create and explore and interact with people and avatars in general who aren't in the same physical space as you. Now, the metaverse is just a vision at this stage, right? It's a very early stage, and AR is one of the examples of how we are progressing towards metaverse. And many advancements will only come in 5-10 years' time or even longer, but it is already happening, right? So we are already coming close to that. And I just wanted to show a video which kind of summarizes this vision in a very nice, inspiring, and succinct way. So I'm going to switch off my camera so that it didn't interfere with the video. And I'm going to play this video for you just to give you a taste and give you an idea of what you can expect when it comes to metaverse.
Let's take a closer look.
Did you know the rings are made up of billions of icy particles?
Really?
Perfect. Hey, Mark. Hey, everyone. That you?
Of course it's me.
Like a shot.
Some call it skill.
Keep talking.
Yeah.
Let's jump in. Hi.
Hey.
So what do we think?
Ready. Imagine if you could also drop an exclusive in the metaverse.
Let's go. Here we go.
Wow. Really cool video, but just as a quick disclaimer, all the things that you've seen on this video just don't exist yet. So we're talking about the future. We're talking about the great vision. We're talking about how we are going to approach it. Right. And currently, just want to say that the majority of augmented reality experiences are captured with a smartphone and a tablet, right? But as the technology will be advancing, we'll see how augmented reality will move towards glasses and headsets, right? And you've probably seen the presentation for the newest version of Oculus, which is called Oculus Pro, and it already has this ability to actually regulate the degree of immersion, right? So you can actually use its sensors and cameras to be able to impose your reality into the virtual reality that you see inside, and to be able to kind of operate between the different worlds at the same time. So it's going to be happening a lot more extensively, and that's why AR and VR are essentially merging together. It's not the two separate disciplines as they are seen right now. Because on the one hand, you get full immersion through headsets. On the other hand, you get AR on your phones. It's going to be everywhere, right? So VR will come into your phones, and then AR will come into your headsets. And that's why augmented reality and, genuinely speaking, extended reality developers, creators, designers will be definitely a lot more in demand to work with, speaking of advertising and marketing, with digital agencies in the first place. And we see that there will be definitely a lot more need for developers, and will continue growing as augmented reality becomes a lot more widely accepted, right, and widely adopted. I think that's the better words in all those different industries. And what we see right now is because it's such a nascent industry is that augmented reality developers, they come from, or creators, right, let's call it creators, they come from diverse backgrounds, right? Lots of them, they started out in the general kind of creative artistic fields. Maybe they used to work as graphic designers or game developers, and then kind of transitions into augmented reality software, like Spark AR Studio, that we'll be dissecting tomorrow. Others start as an augmented reality hobbyist, right? You just generate all those different effects without necessarily building up skills in programming or design, and then actually you start advancing those skills as you kind of move towards more professional level effects. So professional augmented reality developers will typically have a variety of skills, including some of the following that we will be kind of building together in the next few days, and also with the help of our e-learning courses and the sort of software itself. But generally speaking, what's important to have is the sort of, I would say, basic level of design skills, experience using some creative software like Photoshop, which in some ways is similar, I guess, to Spark AR, just in terms of the look and feel. Also experience using augmented reality software like Spark AR, and some of you already have this experience. Game development, and that's probably more advanced when it comes to your ability to program in Unity, as well as JavaScript and TypeScript, and experience of working with marketing integration technologies like the SDK software development kits, the APIs, and specific apps. Now, I just want to say that you do not need to have all of these skills to become an augmented reality creator or developer. But what you need to have is an interest and excitement about this new set of technologies and a willingness to learn. Right? So this has been just the very first step in this journey, and I hope you're excited about that and excited about what we will be doing very soon. I'm going to share our plan just in a second, but let's review what we've learned today about AR effects. First of all, augmented reality is information that is imposed on the physical world, which you currently mostly use via smartphone or tablet. It is a mixture of various objects and elements. Compare it to virtual reality, which is essentially the whole new computer-generated simulation of reality. And when it comes to the different categories or types of AR effects, they are divided into target tracking, people tracking through your selfie camera, and world tracking, which allows you to move around the space with 6 degrees of freedom. We've established that it's used so widely in advertising, marketing, social media, but also e-commerce, healthcare, entertainment, and many other industries. And we also established that augmented reality developers are in demand. The needs will continue to grow as augmented reality becomes a lot more widely accepted and adopted across different industries. So I guess this indirectly answers all the questions that you've asked about this field in general. And by the way, some people said that the video was a bit lagging behind. Apologize. It's unfortunately with the webinar platforms, it's never super perfect, right? It's not recorded content, it's live. I'm broadcasting it live, so it's might be a bit laggy. So sorry for that. I hope that you still got the message, you still got the general idea of that video. Now, what's happening next? Over the next several days, so essentially tomorrow and day after tomorrow, we will get our hands dirty because we'll start building those effects and we'll start playing around with Spark AR software. And we will be doing it straight in class, but also you'll be doing it as a homework assignment, which shouldn't take too much time, right? So all those assignments will be fairly easy and fairly straightforward. And at the end of each of those lessons, your final assignment would be to create your own augmented reality effect. And obviously, if you're interested in pursuing a career in augmented reality VR space, you may include those effects that we'll be creating together in the class in your future portfolio. And we'll also talk a little bit about certification, but now it's a bit too early to talk about certification. We'll talk about this after the final third session that we're going to have on Thursday. Now, a very important thing which I would like you to do. And Zuza, if you're on the line, I'd like you to share the links one more time, all the links that we've had, because this is your first home assignment, which will be so important before you come to the class tomorrow, because tomorrow I expect you to have those 3 things completed. First of all, I would like you to download the Spark AR Studio on your computer and install the Spark AR Player on your phone, because you'll be using your Spark AR Studio to create your augmented reality effects, and we'll create the first effect tomorrow, and you'll be using the Spark AR Player to test those effects on your phone. The Spark AR Studio is free and is compatible with both PCs and Macs, so should be any problems with that. And Spark AR Player essentially needs to be downloaded as an app separately for your Android and your iOS. What you need to do is also to download the project file for lesson 2 to your desktop, because you'll be using this file during the lesson 2 to create your first AR effect. And I believe Zuza should be able to share one of those links, which will give you an ability, which will give you an opportunity to download that particular file. And just for you, because we'll be going through this effect creation process step by step, but just for your general awareness, it will be also nice to watch the video from the Quick Start tutorial you'll find on the Spark AR website about creating your first effect. Now, you'll find links to the software, the project file, and the video in the handout which Zuza has shared with you through those announcement links, right? I hope that you've all managed to access those links. A quick reminder that you can have up to, if I'm not mistaken, 5 announcements at the same time. So if Zuza shared those announcements before, you need to close them again, and you'll see new announcements coming on top of them. But essentially, you need to have an announcement for the Spark AR Studio, for the Spark AR Player, for your home assignment, and for the handout, which will actually have all this information together in one place. So hopefully you'll be able to download them now. Just in case, if you don't manage to do this today, we'll spend a bit of time at the beginning of tomorrow's session going through the same links, just in case, right? Because there might be some people who actually haven't downloaded it just yet at that point. But hopefully it will be all clear and all doable. Let me just see if there's anything else. Yeah, absolutely. So all is shared. So thank you so much. Also, some people saying that they haven't registered for tomorrow's session, though I'm not sure whether we can actually share the link for tomorrow's session. It's essentially in the same place that you've registered for this.
Yeah, just quickly, I've just shared that link. So hopefully, if you close any previous links that I've shared, you should be able to see the latest one with the registration link for tomorrow's session.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Zuzia. So you've got the links, you've got the home assignments, go for it, play around with your software. And also one more thing to mention is that to be able to view your effects on your phone, you would need to be able to plug your phone into your laptop, right, or your computer. So use whichever cables or extensions you need to use, whether it's a USB or micro USB. So try to bring it together as well tomorrow, because you'll be essentially connecting your player to your studio via that cable tomorrow. All right, amazing. So thank you, everyone. I think if there's any issues of accessing those links, you can still find this information just on our website, right? So just search Meta Spark AR Studio, download it. Search Meta Spark AR Player, download it. And then in terms of the home assignment and the task, no problem. We will share those links and this information again tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to seeing you all tomorrow at the same time, the same place. You need to register for the session separately. We have 3 separate registration links for this session tomorrow. And yeah, and if you have any issues or any questions, feel free to share them with us. And hope to see you at the same time. It's going to be 10 a.m. in London, which is essentially 11 a.m. in most European markets, and I guess 12 and 1 p.m. for some of the audiences that join us from Middle East and Northern Africa. So thank you so much, everyone. We're not sharing the recordings, by the way, unfortunately. I think there's some people saying, would the session be useful if you already experienced in Spark AR? That's a good question. I would say that probably tomorrow's session is not that useful because we'll be just creating the very first effects. The day after tomorrow, we'll be going into more advanced territory and also sharing a lot more resources for you to get prepared for the Spark AR certification. So maybe the third session will be more helpful. So thanks a lot, everyone. Such a pleasure to see you all today, and hope it's been inspiring, hope it's been useful and helpful. And I can't wait to see you all tomorrow for our new Spark AR class. Thank you and goodbye.
Thanks, Igor, and thank you, everyone. And just quickly from my side, I've seen some messages from people who are not able to access the last link, which is the handout. Please just make sure that you are logged into your Blueprint profile, to your Blueprint account, and then it should allow you to view that content as well. Thanks very much.